husband Nick is here, and he's going to talk to us. What are you going to talk to us about?
Hello. I would like to just bring some awareness to being more situationally aware in whatever role or setting you're at.
Okay. So how would you say someone can become more situationally aware? Like, what does that mean for people who might not even?
I guess being more situational aware would be having a plan in your head for whatever restaurant, place of business, state, wherever you're at. If you already have a plan, then you're already ahead of the game if something was to go south.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a cool topic for us to talk about because a lot of our listeners are female.
And moms.
Yes, and moms. And I know that I have found myself like with, a baby in the cart, leaving Target, and another toddler, I'm holding their hand and I'm walking out, and I have felt people like following me a little too closely, and just like even in the store, like I felt people kind of like, hey, I'm in the same aisle as you again, and then I go outside and hey, you're parked kind of next to me, and then okay, there's a van over there, all of these thoughts go through your head, and I don't know what to do. Like I'm in that moment and I'm like, hope things go well, hope this doesn't, I would scream and yell and bite. That's pretty much what I would do. But especially I feel like women, when they have kids, it's, when it's just you, that's one thing. But now that you have multiple, especially multiple kids, right?
Yeah.
And even more so once it's 3 and more, right? Once you no longer can have a child in each hand, it becomes pretty scary, right? So what would you say what would be advice maybe that you would give to a woman if she felt like she was being followed, whether it was in a store, whether you have kids or not? Like what would be maybe something that you would recommend she could do to defend herself or just kind of keep herself safe?
Well, we could start very, very basic, or we could go to the far end of the spectrum. Very basic would be having some sort of self-defense classes, some sort of knowledge, and have like some sort of plan. Like I said, having the plan, you're already ahead of the game. Having the plan to be self-defense in a mugging or robbery would be beneficial versus not having that plan.
Yeah.
Or if you had a concealed carry permit and you had a firearm on you, then obviously that's going to take care of that.
Yeah. And I feel like even just having it on you and having a concealed carry and just having to grab it or just kind of flash it, I feel like that in and of itself could be a deterrent, right? Even if you're not,
ready to pull it out.
Ready to pull it and actually use it, which obviously I think that if you ever have a firearm, you should definitely be practicing and training and know how to use it. But for women that maybe they're early on in their training of gun safety and all of that, just having it, I think, is a good deterrent in and of itself.
I would say 80% of the time I'm looking to evade the situation.
Yeah.
And it's going to be completely different as if I'm by myself, I might be more likely to get into a gunfight. Versus if I'm with her or Sage too. 80% of me is going to be evade and try to get them out. And then I might think about going back in and handling the problem or trying to assist in the problem.
That makes sense.
Right. Because depending on the situation and like where you are, what's going on, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if I'm an eighth of a mile away from the car and I go down because I'm trying to be a hero and trying to start a gunfight with let's just say for this instance we're trying to stop a mass shooting. If I go down and I can't get you or Sage back to the car, then I've done nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, like I might have wounded the guy, but like if I go down and I'm wounded myself, that's nothing for y'all.
Right.
If I can get y'all back to the car, that's my main goal.
Yeah.
So, but if I'm by myself, then I don't have to worry about y'all. Then I might be a little bit headstrong and try to take care of the problem.
What do you think about, I've heard people say, like if you're a woman walking to your car, they kind of have like your keys in your hand. Do you think that works? Do you think you're going to drop them? What do you think would happen?
So I'm glad you brought that point up.
Okay.
On anything can become a weapon.
Okay.
anything can become a weapon, and it all depends on how you use it. Versus if you have a cup of coffee, you take your cap off, or let's just say you have a cup of coffee, take your cap off, and if it's pretty hot, splash them in the face. That can become a deterrent.
Even if it just gives you like 20 seconds
it
to
just
just run
Even
or
if
like
it's not
yell
hot.
out for help, or even if it just like distracts them for a second, they're like, oh god,
It would cause a scene.
right,
You know?
right. Bring awareness, bring attention. If you're in the parking lot, you know, there's a lot of hustle and bustle.
Raising your voice,
Yeah.
getting somebody else's attention would definitely be. Use that cart. Put your cart in between them.
Yeah.
A cart is what, like 4 foot maybe?
Right.
4 foot? Nobody's arm width is 4 foot.
And usually if you have your child in the cart, they're in the
front.
seat right there with you, so you're close enough to still be able
And
to.
I've told you this a couple of times, like take your stroller out
Yeah, I
whenever
was
you
gonna
go
say that.
walking. Take your stroller and put that stroller in between you and whoever you're coming against if you encounter that problem.
Yeah.
Because they can't reach
Create
over that
space.
stroller, they can't reach over that cart.
And they can't
to
pull her
get to you.
out because they're strapped in. So
And see, I would have, if I didn't
Slung
hear
it
that,
around.
yeah, my first thing, if my child's in there, I'm gonna,
Get in
you know,
front of
yes,
them.
I'm gonna turn that stroller away from that person.
Right.
But now, like you just said, if you go down, you're no help. If I go down, I'm no help.
right, and if you just create a little bit of space and maybe like, I mean, I have a metal frame jogging stroller, so if I hit somebody in their shin, like that's gonna hurt. It's gonna stun them for at least a second, and then you can pull her around, and then I can pull my gun out, and then it's totally like now the game has changed, and that guy's like, oh shit.
pick the wrong one.
Yeah.
Pulling your gun should be the very last resort.
Yep.
Because if you're going to pull your gun, my intent is to shoot you and kill you.
Yeah, you don't want to just pull it out and be like waving it around, hoping
No,
to
you
not.
don't want to brandish that
yes.
weapon.
No.
If you're taking out, it's the thought of actually using it is 100% real. So, what else could you use? You said like anything could be a
so-
weapon.
This is Danielle's keys.
Mm-hmm.
Have a fob, house key, and a carabiner on it. You can take this carabiner, put your fingers through it,
Yeah.
and instantly, what is that?
It's like a knuckle.
Looks like brass
ring.
knuckles.
Yeah.
This is
That would
illegal.
hurt.
You can clip this on your bag. But if you were in a hand-to-hand combat fight, you can take this and put this right in someone's face,
Yeah.
and I guarantee you they'd feel it.
If you hit someone on the
That's
nose
smart.
with like a piece of metal, like
Yeah.
that carabiner, like that's gonna be,
And that's super
A deterrent.
inexpensive. What is that, like $1, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like anybody can do that.
and it's super handy. Like I just clip it on my bag or clip it like wherever.
And I feel
when
like
we're
that
out
would
and
be
about.
more secure than because I always thought I'm like, okay, if I put a key through my
Right.
knuckle, I'm like, if I punch somebody, it's gonna like slide
Slip
into
back
my
over. That's
hand.
exactly what
You
you
don't-
said.
you
Yeah.
don't have no grasp on it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, I'll
Slide.
drop it or something. So that is actually the carabiner.
Yeah,
I like
you can
that.
take a couple fingers and put them through there, and it kind of becomes like a improvised brass knuckles.
Because a lot of women, I think, you don't feel like you're strong enough to fight back. Like even if it's like a smaller guy that's potentially coming after you, you're like, it's still like.
Yeah.
But having just like that little bit of extra, even though it's a carabiner, it's not like it's not brass knuckles. It's not like pointy. It's not anything. But like that little bit of extra force and like the surface area of your hand is much bigger.
Yeah.
The surface area of that piece of metal, which is going to hit first, that's where all your power is
You know
going
what
to
else is cool about this? TSA approved.
be. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's something to think about too.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I walk with my dogs, I always have a knife on me. I always have a pocket knife with me, but that's not TSA approved.
Yeah.
But the carabiner would
Yeah.
work.
So, I have a metal pen, just a writing pen. I could take and put that through your throat. You're going down.
Yeah.
You know,
I would stop. Yes.
TSA approved.
Yeah.
True.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
carry a pen. It's metal.
Oh, smart. Yeah. As opposed to like a plastic one that would probably just snap
Yeah.
if you try to do that. Smart.
There's a lot of stuff you can do with the pen. I had an instructor tell me one time, like if you were able to go and throw me your wrist, you could take and like put this on somebody's wrist and like
Ooh.
pinch down on it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite comfy.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's just like a little
I
bit.
could take you down to the ground.
Yeah.
If you were to,
Yeah.
if you knew how to use anything, you could make it a weapon.
Like literally a little bit of leverage.
Yeah.
Like figuratively, literally
Oh yeah.
a little bit of leverage.
So it doesn't have to be a gun. It doesn't have
Right.
to be.
Because some people are definitely not going to be comfortable doing that, or maybe they're not able to do that, and
Or
so
they're
if you
scared
don't
of
have
them.
to, yeah,
Absolutely. If you're not comfortable
You have
carrying,
options.
carrying a firearm,
you have options.
don't do it. Don't do it.
That's important.
Mm-hmm.
My plan and my ideology, if I carry a firearm, I'm willing to use it and I'm willing to die that day.
Mm.
Because I'm willing to save one life. If I can save a kid's life, an adult's life, elderly person's life with that firearm, I've met my goal, agenda.
Yeah.
I feel like I've served in that capacity. But also you take that, it's like that double-sided,
Double-edged sword.
yeah, whatever you want to say. I will use it, but I'm also like willing to die for it too.
I like that.
That's my right.
Right. You mentioned like you had a trainer, so you've done we both got our concealed carry permits. They're called something different in every state, but we both have done that class. But then you've also done some extra classes. So like for people who don't know you, like you do know what you're talking about. It's not just like random. So what other class did you do, and how do you kind of relate that to this?
I've taken a couple concealed carry classes. I've taken also a couple classes. I've taken a pistol class and a rifle class, and it was just very basic intro to rifle. And when I say intro to rifle, you have these classes weren't your normal stay-at-home mom classes.
Mm-hmm.
These were intro to kind of like intro to combat.
Like tactical, more
Yes.
tactical
Yes.
versus like
And
home defense.
yes.
It's good you say that, because
Yes.
when you said intro, I was like, this is the barrel, this is the trigger.
No.
You would learn those in a concealed carry class.
Okay. I have not taken that yet.
The difference of firearms, whether it's a semi-automatic pistol or a revolver pistol, or striker fire versus rim fire. That is your very basic. And I do wish that everybody would take that. I wish that was mandatory. Just so you knew about a gun, just so you knew about firearm. I wish they would teach that in schools.
They should.
I mean, think about like if every 16, 17, 18-year-old kid knew the difference in a firearm.
Right.
Or
And the
knew-
safety around
yes,
it.
Yes.
Yes.
That and hunter
Well,
safety.
And there's ways to make it age appropriate. I know one of the Instagram accounts that I follow, which I wanted to mention her anyways, but her name is Miss Amber L, and we'll link her in the show notes. But she gives everything from a mom's perspective, and she does a lot of work with females specifically. She works with a company that does classes and like safety classes, but she talks about on her Instagram stories, even I think it might be the NRA does these like informational videos, and like the ones that are geared more towards children are just like safety and like what would you do if you came up on a gun, like you would tell an adult. So it's very age appropriate, and I think it's so important to start like as soon as you can, because even if you're someone who doesn't have like, you're not a hunter or you don't have guns in your house, like what if a family member does, or what if they go to a friend's house and they do, and maybe they're not up on their safety, and so like
Just
your
know it's not a toy.
your friend is like, oh, let me show you something in my dad's room, and it's a gun, then they'll know what to do if they're ever in that situation. So it doesn't just have to be like if you're able to use it, like if you, as soon as you can comprehend a little bit, even if it's just that's something that's for adults, and if I see it, I need to let an adult know, then that just takes the fear out, and it takes out like the unknown, and you feel better, you feel like your kid is at least a little bit prepared, even if they don't fully understand. But I mean, I think it's important to remember that our kids are exposed to so much right now on, you know, TV and all the things, like they're seeing,
guns are toys,
right?
Like, no.
So they're seeing these things. So if you're not the one that's having those conversations with them, maybe no one is, maybe someone is that you wouldn't like what they had to say, or they're just seeing it and they're taking in this content and they don't know what to do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you should never fear the firearm. You should have respect for it.
And just having the education takes the fear away in most things, in anything. Just educating yourselves, and even if, like you said, even if you never intend on using it, but just knowing, okay, I found this gun, but like, you know, whatever the situation is, like I came across this, I don't want to touch, like I'm not intending on using it, but this is how I can pick it up safely. you know, take it to the police station or whatever, but like just knowing like, and not being like, oh, it's there. I don't want to even like walk near it. I don't know what to do, but just having that little bit of education. I was like, okay, this is the situation I'm in. I know what to do, and now I'm good.
Yeah, I agree.
A quality pistol, a quality firearm will never go off by itself.
Right.
It will never just decide to shoot. Something has to
initiate
cause the shot to go off.
Yeah.
So if you have that respect and you have the training, guns can be the safest thing in the world.
I agree. It's all
like
about the person who's behind the gun.
It would be nice for every single person to have at least some intro to gun safety. You don't have to go and take the classes that I took or to aspire to be a gunfighter or a Navy SEAL. But if you have the info and the background with at least being safe, so many negligent shootings would be stopped.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Any questions
So
for him?
in those classes, going back to those classes that I took I took 2 CWP classes, concealed carry permit classes, and I took it was a level 1 pistol class. And so in that pistol class, I think we shot over, I want to say, I know it was over 500 rounds. Might have been closer to 600 or 700 rounds. And we do everything from moving to dropping down, kneeling, to reloads, to drawing, to clearing malfunctions, a variety of different things. To where if I had a malfunction, if I had a double feed on my gun, I could clear it right away and re-magazine and go right back into the fight. And you talking about being humbled. once you start moving and your wind starts picking up and your stamina isn't where you want it to be, and you're trying to reload a gun, then you start wondering how you'll do in a gunfight.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know that, you know, my husband Travis is trying to get me more comfortable around guns because, kind of like you said with the whole, you know, teaching at an adolescent age, I wish I had that because my father was a state trooper, so I had seen a gun, right, just on his belt buckle, you know, coming and going from work. But outside of that, guns were not a thing. Like we didn't have one that I knew of. I wasn't around them, like nothing. So when Travis picked up the hobby and started getting his certifications and things like that, I would get nervous, and he would be like, you know, okay, here's the target, this is what you're gonna do, you're gonna shoot. And I remember every single time I would pick up a gun, I would just shake my hand uncontrollably. And
was it because of the recoil?
I don't know. Well, on the bigger guns still to this day scare me just because the power behind them, that still just gets my heart going a little bit. But this was just a handgun, and I remember aiming it, and it was just shaky the whole time. And he kind of just like lowered my arm and was like, breathe. I was like, I don't think I can. I don't think I should do this. And I gave it back to him. I watched him. And now that I'm more comfortable, I actually like going out and shooting and target practice and stuff like that. But it was this reaction I didn't expect to have because mentally I am for them and the safety behind them and doing and, you know, controlling that piece of equipment in the right way. So it wasn't like it was a mental thing, right? It was just this physical reaction to not, like you said, not knowing. I was just unprepared. I didn't know what it was going to do, what it was going to feel like. It was even heavier than I thought. I remember I picked it up and my wrist kind of bent. I was like, oh, it doesn't look this heavy in the movies, you know? And I was just that. I was like, dang, this is different. And the first few shots, like feeling that power, it was a blend of, this is really me, and oh my gosh, like this is real. This is not a toy.
Yeah, it's real.
Yep.
But you got better at it.
Yes.
The first time you might have been 10%.
Yeah.
And the second time you might have been 22, 23%. You know, and like every time you practice, just like anything, your sourdough probably didn't turn out the way you wanted to the very first time.
Good 2-3 months.
But the next time you made sourdough was drastically better.
Yes.
And then the following times was better and better and better. Just like anything, you're going to practice and practice and practice to get that proficiency.
Right, and then especially with like the firearm thing, you end up getting that muscle memory. Like when you exercise, like you know the movements and you you work through it a little bit and you're like, oh, that's not right. But then you eventually do it so many times and you figure it out. And same thing with that, like it just becomes this, like, you don't have to think about each and every little breakdown of the step. You just can do it. And then you feel more comfortable and you are more educated and you are more comfortable and you are more able to have more control, which makes you feel more comfortable.
Yeah. At first I started, just practicing just my shots, getting my shots on target. I wanted to hit the silhouette that I was pointing at.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going for time.
Yeah.
We have a timer on our belts and we're drawing, we're getting our shots on however many we decide. We might be moving to another position, getting shots on, reloading, and we're going for time. Like me and the guy that I train with, we're constantly wanting to better our time. And we could see a drastic difference. Like our first drill might be 13 seconds. And then the next drill we might cut 2 seconds off of that. But that 2 seconds in a real life
in a gunfight,
it could be your life.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that all makes sense. I mean, I like that. I think that we covered that pretty good as far as like guns in general. And again, like I think the biggest thing to hit on is the class or on the education, the knowledge of if you are going to get one of these. Like,
and there is a lot of stuff you can do at home with an unloaded gun. There's a bunch of stuff. I brought my gun today. You can, and it is unloaded. Okay, I have it here. So there's a big thing called dry fire.
what's that?
And what dry fire is just the act of, pretending like
You're going through the motions, but without a live round.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bullets right now are probably
Very expensive.
9mm bullets are probably 50 cent a round.
Mm-hmm.
50, 60 cent a round. That gets expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't. A lot of people might be living in the city. They don't have the place to go shoot, the
Mhm.
range to go shoot, the
Right.
time to go shoot. But if you have 10 minutes, you can unload your firearm. That is one main thing. Keep all your bullets. If you're going to be practicing and training and doing dry fire in your house, take all your bullets, put them in another room.
Mm-hmm.
No bullets need to be near that gun.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just work on your draws. You can work on having your gun in your holster and just drawing and just getting that grip.
Working on your muscle memory
Yes.
without, you don't always need to be doing a live round.
Right.
Like you said, it could be cost, it could be you don't have the space, you don't have the time, but if you have 10 minutes, you can just, and that's something like building a habit, making that muscle memory. Doing something for 10 minutes every day is better than once a month I can go to the range. Like you're not going to get it the same.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to take an outlet or a light fixture on the wall, and I'll get across the room, and I'll just spend, just a couple minutes and just aim at that outlet, and then I'll put it back out. And I'll just bring it up, and I'll aim at that outlet, and I'm working on my grip. I'm working on finding the trigger. I'm working on, am I squeezing hard enough? Because if you're not squeezing hard enough, then it is going to be floppy.
Yep.
If you are squeezing hard enough, then it'll go back on target every single time. Just there's a bunch of stuff. You could do 90% of everything at your house
Without actually
without
shooting.
firing the first bullet.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like you probably should do a lot of that before you
Yeah.
start firing
Yes.
Yeah.
5
Yes.
rounds.
Yes. So if you're not comfortable, find your husband, your spouse, whatever. Ask them to unload the weapon and to make sure it's cleared and to practice with that weapon.
I always ask Travis when I hand it back, I'm like, is it done? Is it empty? Are we good? Like, just to double check because, again, he just knows more than I do.
Yep.
And create a scenario. In our bedroom, we have a firearm right beside the bed. We have a pistol right beside the bed. And I told her, like, we've run through several different scenarios. I'm sure she hates it by now. Like, I'll say, okay, we've just heard something, and we're both asleep, and I'm going to give you this weapon. I'm going to go out and see what the problem is. I'll have another weapon, or vice versa. Like, I mean, if you have a plan, you're already. I feel like you're already at least 40 to 50% ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Well, because say you're laying down in bed and you're asleep and something wakes you up and you have to wake up, you have to formulate the plan, you have to be like, wait, you're gonna do what?
Yeah.
Or anything, like even if like your house is on fire, like what do I do?
Yeah.
This is your job and this is your job, go.
Yeah.
If you already know, that takes out how long of a big chunk of time of, okay, like of processing, and again, that's not necessarily maybe a muscle memory situation, but it's like, I can pull that out of my brain. I know what I'm gonna do. Okay, let's go.
Well, it's like, this might be dramatic. I've run the scenario through my head. My mom was an EMT, let me preface with that. So she kind of gave us a lot of like safety training, not weapons, but just in general. And if you ever like drove off a bridge or like drove into a lake or anything like that.
That is literally my worst nightmare.
I said, we're gonna go deep. Yep, it's dramatic. But if that happens, first thing you do is you roll down your windows. First thing, because now you can get out once all that you can't get out while it's happening because the water's flowing in.
Yep.
But if you can't get all four down, if just at least get one window down. Yes, the water's going to come in a lot quicker. It's going to be a lot more dramatic and scary. But once you submerge fully, you swim right out the window, right? And again, same thing. If you have babies in the car seat and stuff like that, you roll down the front window because that's where, or roll down any windows that you can. Usually the back don't go down all the way. But if you have a kid that is of age to undo their own seatbelt, try to get a back window down because they
have their own window now. Yeah.
And then maybe the parent goes and gets the infant out or whatever the case may be. Yeah. So that's something that I've replayed and hopefully, pray to God, please no, never ever have to use. But that's something that I always think,
Well, and that's the thing with most of this is you hope that you never have to do it. But if there's a situation that comes up, you want to be prepared. You want, because this might not be a topic that you thought we would cover on our holistic health and wellness podcast, but it is so important because even if it's not a gun thing, even if it's just that, like you want to be aware of whatever situation you're in and have some sort of plan of, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. If this happens, this is what I'm going to do. If I'm by myself, it's a little bit different. Like you said, if I'm with another adult, it's a little bit different. If I'm with children, it's different. If there's no one in the back seat that I don't have to worry about rolling the windows down, if I have my dog with me, this is what I'm gonna do. Like anything that happens, like if you can take out even just 5 seconds of like, oh my God, this is happening, what am I gonna do? You already know, like I have a plan in motion and those few seconds could literally save lives. And so just being aware that this is even something that you should be aware of, I think is a huge advantage.
Yeah, you remember what I told you a couple months ago is about, so having our concealed carry, it's all about the safety of yourself and the safety of others around you. If someone pulls a knife on me, I'm gonna try to de-escalate the situation. Like, come on, man, we're not doing this. Like, and I'm gonna try to get away. My safety, I can stand probably a knife stabbing. Like, I could probably take a knife to the gut. My 18-month-old daughter can't take a knife to the gut. So then it becomes like the safety of her. It's always the lowest point of safety. So like, if we're all three of us together, like, I'm worried about your safety. If I'm with my I don't even know how old my grandma is. If I'm with my let's say 75.
She's like 75,
If I'm with my 75-year-old grandma, then my safety becomes on her. She can't take a knife stabbing.
She can't
run away. She can't fall. She can't run away. I could run away from the situation. I could run away from the gunfire. She can't. So then my safety becomes protecting her. My safety becomes protecting you. If we're all four of us together, like, I'm protecting you and your kids. My kids, her. So then it becomes like
it changes.
It changes every single time.
And we've talked about like say our house burns down, like we know certain things that we want to grab, and like my job is sage and grabbing this and this. Your job is the dogs and grabbing this and this from that end of the house. And so it's like, okay, we do our jobs and we meet at this location and now we're good. Whereas if your house is burning down and you're like running around with a chicken, like your head cut off, then you're not helping anyone. You're not, like, that's not a productive use of what little time you might have.
I have a friend who her husband is a Marine, and I remember her saying that and he had been deployed and he's seen some stuff. So I remember her saying that now when they go into restaurants, they always sit, like his back, he can see everything.
He does that.
He knows that. Exits, he sees like nobody's behind him.
Yep.
Doesn't happen. And like she has to sit in a certain spot, and that might be a little much to some people, but I mean, if it was me, like, heck yeah, put me in a good spot. Like, set us up to succeed here, you know.
Right. And everything sounds extreme until you need to use it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be like, oh, that's so dumb. If in the moment you're like, that literally just saved my life. Like, those annoying drills that you put me through, okay, maybe, like, you saved my life. Okay, you win.
Those
you were right.
2 seconds that I cut off on my timer, you know, like from my first rep to my second rep on my training, that 2 seconds could be the same as if you're sitting at the doorway.
Right.
You know, if your back is to the door versus if you're looking at the door, and you might see something 2 seconds sooner, then you can react.
Yeah, I thought that was
and it's crucial.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks about that.
Right.
Unless you've had some type of training or like the idea has been dropped, right? And that's kind of why we wanted to talk about this stuff today, because again, I know that most of our listeners are female or moms or different things like that, but this is something that moms need to hear. Like, I mean, it's great if your husband is with you, but a lot of us, if you even have a husband, right? Like some of us don't, or you know, our husbands are out working and we're taking our kids, you know, out throughout the day, or we're taking ourselves out, or whatever the case is, and we can't just always rely on them being there to have our backs. You know, this is stuff that I think every woman and every human in general could learn from.
And I think it needs to be more of like an empowering thing than like...
Not scary.
Right. Like, okay, I feel confident enough that if I'm in a situation by myself, or I'm in a situation and it is just me and Sage, like, I know what to do, I have my equipment, I know how to use it, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Like, if we're in the car and something happens, if we're at home and something happens, if, like, we have all these different scenarios played out. If I'm out walking in the stroller, like, I know, like I can, like, check off the things of, okay, this is what I'm going to do in this situation. So it's, like, just having the knowledge is empowering, because it's like, I'm not a defenseless victim.
Yeah.
I'm already a step ahead, you know.
How does it make you feel? Safer?
Right. More confident. It's more empowering. It's like, I don't need a man. Like, no, but it's like, sometimes you're in a situation and you're not. Like, if you're at work all day, we have to go to the grocery store, and we go on our walks, and we go to the park, or we go wherever, and like, you're not always in control of who's there. You go to the grocery store, you're not like, you're sketchy. No, you can wait till I'm done. Like, no, you're not. And parking lots are really
the park was a good
easy.
One.
Yeah, like,
I've had some weird people show up at the park and like, kids, we're done.
Yeah.
We're leaving.
We've had weirdos like approach us when we're in the stroller, and I'm like, just gonna keep my hand right here where my gun is, and hopefully I don't have to use it, but if I do, it's right here, and you know, okay, we're talking to you, okay, we're done, see you, bye, and we walk away. It's like, okay, I didn't need to, but I was ready if I had to, because we're in the middle of this like walkway, and it's me and my friend and our 2 kids, but I know that she doesn't have a thing, so I have a thing, and bro, you better know, we're about to go down if this happens, because like you said, like, okay, in this situation, my priority are these 2 babies, and my friend, like, okay, you take my stroller and you run with my kid, and this is what we're gonna do. So it's like, you just have to know what you're doing and just be aware of the situations that you could potentially get in. Again, you hope that you would never have to do anything ever, but if you do, you are prepared. You know what to do. You have, even if, like I said, even it doesn't have to be a gun, but if you just have something as simple as a carabiner on your keys, then you're a step ahead. And that's something that you would think like an aggressor isn't going to think of anyway, so then they're going to be like, oh,
let me ask
this is a little bit tougher than I thought, maybe I'm going to walk away.
Where is let's say a mass shooting, where is it more likely to happen?
In like a big space where there's like a lot of people. Is that what you mean?
Go deeper. What kind of people?
I don't know what you're leading me on.
Maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If I was a deranged lunatic, right? Let's say like I wanted to commit a mass casualty incident, you know, a mass shooting. I'm not going to go somewhere where I might think that there might be some people that have guns.
Yep.
Right. You want innocent, not that you want innocent victims, but you want it to be easy for you. You don't want your safety to then be in question.
Okay, where could you see a shooting happen? At your target
Yeah.
or at a gun show?
Right. No one's.
You know, nobody's shooting up a gun show.
Yeah.
Nobody's shooting up a Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
Nobody's shooting up a, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, think about it. It's if you're at a coffee shop, you know, the mood's right, soft jazz is playing, and then you hear gunshots go off. Like,
Yeah. You're not ready.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What
And
do
you know
gonna
there's
do?
not like a security guard
Yeah.
at a coffee shop.
And even if they are, you're usually unarmed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
usually doesn't do much good, but yeah.
And there's some defensive, positions that you can take. I have here.
You brought props, everyone.
This right here is a level 3 panel. This will stop I think up to a 45 caliber pistol round.
We do. They just hold it up.
You can get
Like a
these
shield.
in sizes of probably the smallest is probably a 10 by 10 and probably up to maybe a 20 by 20.
Now would that go like in a vest? Is that what that's for?
This could go in a vest, a diaper bag.
I have one in my
Backpack.
bag, right?
Oh, girl, I know. You don't want to hurt you.
You could probably get one small to put in a fanny pack.
You can get a small one and put in your kid's backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially like say you're in an inner city school and you're worried about that, like you live in a not so great neighborhood and you would hope to God that nothing like that would happen at your kid's school, but they would be prepared, like
They have something.
They have
to use
something,
as a shield
yeah.
or try to protect themselves.
This-
That's neat.
This company is also North Carolina based.
oh cool.
Who is it?
Premier Body Armor.
And I just want to mention we do record these on YouTube, so if you want to see, like if you want a visual of what Nick's talking about, you can
Yeah, it's
Watch on YouTube.
no bigger than a
Like a folder.
like
or
a
like a big
folder.
laptop kind of.
And it's smaller than a Yellow Pages. Rest
Yeah.
rest in peace, Yellow Pages. Does anybody on this anymore? What else?
Which
is
would
cool?
also be great if you had one of those for self-defense. Knock somebody over the head
You
with
know
one
what
of
else is cool
those.
about this? TSA approved.
Really?
Yes,
I'm
you can
surprised.
take this on the airplane.
Because isn't that like metal in
No,
there? What is it?
it's flimsy.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
like
you guys.
it's probably Kevlar.
This will stop bullets?
Yeah, pistol rounds.
It feels like a folder. with a few papers in
Pistol
it.
round. It won't stop rifle rounds,
Crazy.
but it'll stop pistol rounds.
That's crazy.
And it probably won't stop 10 in the same location.
Yes,
Right.
But it'll
it,
give
it
you
would stop 1 or 2.
Yes. Which hopefully is all
Knife
you need.
knife stabbings.
Mm.
Yeah, throw this in a diaper bag. Throw this in backpack. Put it over your organs. Wear it in front.
Yeah. That's smart. I never would have thought.
Throw your kid in your backpack if you're like
Yeah.
trying to run away from a situation. I've thought about that, like
Yeah.
empty all the things that I don't need out, put the baby in, and then I don't have anything to carry. I can be hands free.
You can get one of these
She's
for about
safe.
$150.
Nice.
150
Worth it.
to $200.
Yeah.
Put one of these in your kids' backpacks. If there is a school shooting,
Mm-hmm. That's
tell
smart.
them to cover up with their backpack.
We're getting one tomorrow. So, that's valid.
Right.
That's pretty neat.
And you can get them different sizes.
So I had a question that kind of, taking a turn here, when I heard about the topic, it kind of came to mind, and I don't know if you know much about it, but what would you say as far as like prepping your home? Like as far as, do you think people should have food?
Well, we can go as far as you want.
Yeah, let's go. Should people have food? What should people have? What, like water supply that's clean? Like, what are your thoughts and feelings on that? Like, should you have a to-go bag, or what do you think?
I guess it all depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to
Stay alive.
let's say you're at your job and you're trying to get home to your house, then you need one thing. If you're at your house and there's like a Red Dawn situation, then you need something else. Or if you're in the city living in an apartment and you want to get to your parents' house or to your in-laws' house in the country, then you need another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say you need a cache of different supplies, and a cache is just like a central location of a bunch of different things. It could be ammunition, food, water, medical, all kinds of stuff. I get, and you can go as much as you want to go. People are building underground bunkers. I mean,
You can even do that in your basement. Like, get some shelves and just start lining yours. That's kind of what we're doing. just have some stuff.
Even if it's just like a weather situation, like you're
Exactly.
snowed in, or there's a hurricane and you don't have power, or like whatever, like it doesn't necessarily have to be like a red dawn situation. But if you have to like hunker down for a couple days, then you know that you're.
A cool thing also, can I see your mug?
Sure.
You can take this mug, and I'll try to explain it because I know everybody's not watching this on YouTube. You can
mug.
You can take this coffee mug, fill it up with water, okay? Freeze it, put it in the freezer. Whenever it's done, put a quarter right on top of it. Okay? Put it back in the freezer. If your power goes out, you can take a check on that every so often and see if that quarter's floating down to the bottom. When that quarter gets all the way to the bottom, you know that ice is defrosted. Don't eat your meat.
Oh, I was wondering where you were going with
If
that.
that quarter's on top, or if that quarter's in the middle, you know like your stuff is still pretty good to eat. Yeah. But if it's all the way defrosted and your quarter's at the very bottom and it's just water, don't eat anything in that freezer.
Okay. I'm putting that out there. That is cool. Because just even like if your power goes out, you know, like you said, and we live in the country in the middle of nowhere, some people would say, and if
generators are expensive.
Yes, exactly. We're looking into getting a whole like Genback or something.
Generac.
Yeah, Generac.
They're the best.
And but we don't have one, and we were in North Carolina, and when we moved here, everybody said it doesn't snow, and you're going to be fine, and we got here, and it was like, okay, you get 12 inches tomorrow. And I was worried because our neighbors did say, like, if power goes out and lines go down, we are the last that they're coming to help and fix. And I was like, oh, great. So I actually thought about that. I was like, what if, like, because we found a local farmer, we've been stocking up on meat and doing all the things. I'm like, that would be unfortunate if all of that meat
and that's expensive.
Yeah, exactly. So that's smart. We're going to do that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a whole home generator because you can,
run a few things.
Yes.
Prioritize.
You don't have to charge your iPhone.
Right.
And like
You can run the stove off of it.
TikTok, you know?
Yeah.
You could have a couple extension cords going to a freezer, refrigerator, maybe run your stove, maybe run a fashion some way you can get your hot water. You know? But yeah, I mean realistically, like you don't have to have lights in your bathroom.
Yeah.
But that's true. But you do need to have your food not defrosting while you're wondering like when the power's going to come back on.
Yeah. Right.
That's super smart. I like that.
What are some, you mentioned like bags, so what would be some main things, because you said like it depends on the situation, but like what would be some key things that if somebody were wanting to just like start, like I don't have anything, like what would be some things that you would prioritize to get first, or to maybe always have on hand that would be for like across like any situation?
I would say first aid. First aid is the very first. Because you're going to encounter a first aid situation probably 80% of the time before you would a
mass shooting situation, right?
Yeah, you would have to give aid before you would a mass shooting.
So you have some first aid stuff.
I do.
We have bags in our cars. We have first aid in the house, and then we have like a smaller first aid situation like in like the diaper bag. So can you talk a little bit about what you have in there?
And it could be a wide array of Band-Aids all the way to tourniquets. I have my little first aid kit here with me.
I'm just going everywhere with you guys.
We got the supplies.
In your house, I would say your house is your home base. Look at it as your home base. Your car is just an extension of your house. I wouldn't say you need a full-on medical kit in your backpack, but what I would say is you need enough to where you could get maybe to your house or maybe to your car.
Like I've helped a
hospital or something.
Yeah, like I've helped a mom at the park one time. Like her kid fell and skinned her knee, and she's like, "I don't have any Band-Aids." I'm like, "I got some."
Was it me?
No. But even just as simple as that, like okay, let's bring the crunchy mom thing, and I have some oils in my diaper bag, and I have, just some stuff like that, and then I do have like Band-Aids. I do have a tourniquet in my diaper bag in case stuff gets like real wild, but for the most part, it's like gauze and Band-Aids, and I have like Correctex, which is like a doTERRA like first aid ointment thing, and it's like so we were at the park.
I was just gonna say
we were at the park, and Sage was like losing her mind, and I was like, "What is happening?" And I was like trying to help her. I couldn't figure out. She can't talk. This was like several months ago. And so she was speaking no words, and it took me a couple minutes to realize that she had an ant, or like a couple ants, in her shirt. And they were just like stinging her over and over, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like no wonder you're freaking out. Like she had all these ants. Yeah, she did. She had all these ant bites all over her back, and so I went to my stroller and I got my diaper bag out and I got my oils out and I like put my oils on her, and then she was fine. But it's
within
like
10 minutes, it was like 80% better.
Yeah,
I was actually surprised.
Yeah, but just even like you can cater it to your lifestyle, or like you kind of know what situations you're going to be in for the most part. So like maybe you usually go to the park and your kid likes to fall down a lot. You know that you're going to need a lot of Band-Aids, or you know whatever the situation may be. So. And in the summer, it's different. In the summer, I have bug spray and I have sunblock. But during the winter, I don't need that, and I take that part out, so I don't have all the things in my backpack all the time. But it just depends.
Yeah, so it could be a wide array of things.
Yeah.
In my little first aid kit, I have a right on top is a tourniquet. And I have it staged to where I know how to pull it out and to apply it.
We do drills with those also. How to use it, but
you would be
want
shocked
to be able to know
if something happened to your arm. You're right-handed.
Oh yeah.
You would be shocked
do it lefty.
to know how many people or how you would use this left-handed if you didn't have it staged right.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I'd be like just use my mouth and pulling on stuff. I wouldn't know. So I found out this episode I'm kind of useless, and I should take some classes. Probably leave the farm every now and then, go experience the real world.
But even just living on a farm, you're like, I don't really know, like I don't need to know all this stuff, but like if you're up at the barn and there's like a random piece of metal that's sticking out of the ground and you like cut your leg, you're like, oh, I could use that right now.
That happened to my sister.
Really?
Yeah, my sister cut her leg on a piece of tin one time. And I mean, it's a pretty deep cut. She had to have stitches.
Yeah. My biggest like worry, or like something I'm really aware of here, are the snakes.
Yeah.
You know, like if you were to get a snake bite, you know, seeing what kind of snake it was, and then knowing, okay, what do we gotta do from here?
Right. Especially because you do live out far, so it's like you need to have a little bit of knowledge of some first steps to do, and because you're gonna have to get in the car, and then you're gonna have to drive before you can get to like a medical facility, whether it be like a hospital or urgent care or whatever it is. Like you need to have a little bit of awareness of like, I can't freak out right now, like I'm in charge of this kid or whatever, and like I need to be able to get it as safe as I can to transport.
Yeah. What else do you have in there?
So this is just a Magpul DACA pouch. It's not waterproof, water resistant.
Okay.
I love these things. I have this one and I have this one. This one is just a clear sided. This one I have ammunition in.
Okay.
This one stays in my trunk. I know I could grab this and have about 60 rounds of rifle and close to 50 rounds of pistol. And I could just throw this in my backpack.
Cool.
And I know I can pretty much do a lot of things with this.
Red Dawn situation.
But like I said, I have a tourniquet on top and a magic marker, because when you apply this, you have a certain amount of time that it can only stay on there before it becomes like a loss of limb, loss of nerves, loss of a lot of damage.
The marker is also good if you get a bug bite or anything like that, and you start to mark.
That snake bite,
Circle it.
Spider bite, circle it, write the time on your leg. And also be a good idea, like if you could take a picture of that snake. Look at, like around here, we don't have like many types of like
poisonous.
Yeah. We have a couple.
If you could figure out like what type that is, then that might help like the person.
And if I get to the hospital, I'm like, it was brown, and it had like
that's not helpful.
Yeah,
thank you.
Ma'am, there's 50 brown ones, you know. So if I was able to snap a picture of that, I'm actually in a like snake emergency group, because moving to North Carolina from New Jersey, I was like,
everything's different.
Yeah. Everything tries to kill you. No, we're not in no.
Australia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But there definitely are more snakes here, especially where I live, than there was where I was living in New Jersey.
Right.
So that was a big concern. And that was another situation where the more I learned about it, the more comfortable I got.
Right.
And it's really okay. You have about 2 in this area that you do want to be on the lookout for, and then the rest are pretty much harmless. And some of them are beneficial. You want them around.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
So,
what else do we got?
This is some hand sanitizer, there's some like a bug oil, like an itch.
An essential oil roller bottle for like if you get stung. Yeah.
Yeah. I work outside a lot, so a lot of times I like either getting bug bit or like
poison ivy.
oh god, like just you talking about it, I'll break.
He's gonna have a rash just from the word. But for real.
I stumbled on these a couple years ago. This is a what's called an Israeli bandage.
Okay.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
So what this is, and it gets their name from the Israeli military.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they coined this and discovered these. But it's like gauze. But inside here there's a rigid plastic piece, and I'll let you look at it. There's a rigid plastic piece, and what it is it's a kind of a vacuum sealed package,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a long ace bandage, and there's gauze on one side of it,
Okay.
and you can take and you can run that around that plastic piece and cinch it to itself, and you just wrap it around the wound,
Oh.
So
And-
like
and
it
it holds
puts the
compression.
pressure, yeah.
Yeah.
and it holds tight, and it'll hold to itself, and that's good for like wound care.
Yeah. That's like a quick
Mhm.
thing.
Like
Yeah.
a little, like a step up from just like your regular gauze, where you would have to keep like holding that pressure, whereas you might not be able to do that. Like maybe there's only 2 of you, and that person's passed out, and you need to drive the
Mhm.
car, like whatever the
Mhm.
situation might be. But
I have a thing of Band-Aids and Correct-X just for minor scrapes, minor cuts.
the mom part.
I have some nitrile gloves. I guess I don't know if they're latex free, but they're just surgical gloves.
Yeah.
Because you never know who you're going to encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And some gauze
You
in
don't want
that,
their
in
blood
that
on you.
little
Yeah.
bag. Glow sticks.
Oh yeah, that's
What if
smart.
what if you're out in the woods and you have to leave a trail for your you need to signal somebody? Some glow sticks,
Smart.
chem lights. These were coined from the military. Some shears just to cut things off. Some more gauze. Some more of these are cool. I found these a while back. These are a transparent film dressing, and what that is like it's a waterproof, transparent, just like an enclosure.
Like a big Band-Aid?
Kinda.
Okay.
And it'll seal around that, and if
Oh.
something was
More like waterproof. or
yeah,
something.
it'll kind
Right.
of waterproof that, and then just some iodine and some stuff like that.
In an Altoid box. So
Yeah,
you called that out, I
Altoid.
was like, that's not
And I
my
think
bag.
there's I think there's some Benadryl in here, Benadryl, first aid cream.
The Benadryl is generally for me.
Yeah.
Stacey has been a witness to my weird allergy issues.
My cat loves her. She does not love my cat.
And I also have Quick Clot in here. Quick Clot is the last resort.
What is that?
Quick Clot is basically like a
Anticoagulant.
yeah, it sets up like cement.
Oh, okay.
And I did find this out. If you use Quick Clot, they have to cut it out.
Oh.
So Quick Clot is the last resort. If you cannot get the bleeding to stop, and you are like,
Because then it's going to cause more damage
Yeah.
once you get there. That
it
they're going to have to
cauterizes the blood vessels.
You found this out? You
Yeah.
how to do this?
Not
I
personally.
learned this.
I learned this. Yeah. And it's like just like you just a tear and pour. It's like a powder, but it'll cauterize the wound.
Mm.
And to fix that and clean it up, they have to cut that part out because it sets up like a cement.
Ugh.
That's not fun.
But that's the last resort.
Yeah.
That's meant for like
Like gunshot
Gunshots
wounds.
and- yeah,
like,
stuff.
You're in the feet.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's good stuff. I've learned a lot so far. I've learned that I'm mostly just very unprepared. When I kind of thought like I was, again, just more so like the mental side of things.
Yeah.
But when I look at it, like I could definitely have a couple like
More supplies.
bags, at least some Band-Aids,
Another
things like that.
Another thing that we keep is like trash bags. Like you can do a lot with a trash bag, or like especially like the big
Oh, yeah.
black contractor bags. Like so we have like that in our cars. Even just like extra blankets, a change of clothes.
Yeah.
We have like water. You can have like non-perishable snacks. So like even if you're just so there was that big snowstorm a couple weeks ago, and there were all those people trapped on 95. And they were just trapped in their cars because the highway was just like they got snowed in their cars.
That's good.
And so what if you're in that situation? Like we would be prepared,
Mhm.
but
But
you
most
don't ever
people
know.
wouldn't,
Yeah, like
really.
most people wouldn't. Like okay, maybe you have like a blanket, or maybe you have, but like what if you run out of gas? Like what if like just all these scenarios? Like you have a metal gas can in the back of your truck with like just an extra like 5 gallons, like just in case.
When we
like
go on a trip, I usually carry a metal gas can.
Mhm.
yeah, because you never
And it's
know.
full of it's full of gas and it's already been like treated and everything, and it sits there full.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Smart.
metal. It's 5 gallons, enough to get me to where I have to go, and just something like that. I usually carry like a battery pack if we go.
Yeah,
if we
like a
go on trips.
rechargeable thing.
Because what if you can't get to somebody with jumper cables?
Yeah.
We have jumper cables. We have those, but what if
What if you're in the middle of nowhere by yourself?
Yeah.
We usually travel at nighttime. What if we're going up 81 and we're the only car for 2 or 3 miles? Yeah.
What else? Even just something like hair ties. You can do a lot with hair ties. You can do a lot
What
with.
can you do with a hair tie?
You'd be surprised what you could do with a condom.
What can you do with a condom? Well, I know one thing, but what can you do with a condom?
You put it over your phone. It's waterproof.
Oh.
You put it over your phone and
Interesting.
tie a knot at the bottom, and it's waterproof.
Interesting. What can you do with a hair tie?
Just
Like crafty folk.
No, but just like anything you can do with a rubber
Oh,
band.
yeah,
you know,
like try off
Yeah.
certain bandages
Yeah.
and things like that. Interesting.
But
I'm hanging out with you guys.
just
more.
little things like you don't like. Okay, so the same thing with like our healthy lifestyle journeys. Like we've been doing this for years, so we have a lot of like the fluff things, but like you can do things with just very like everybody has probably like trash bags, especially like the black contractor bags. Everybody has hair ties. You have like
shoelaces.
like you have certain things that you can use right now, and then you can just prioritize like, oh, what you talked about, that was cool. Maybe I'll add that to my list, and I'll just slowly start incorporating these things and just kind of like building this cache of, and like CACHE cache, not money cash. But
That too.
slowly, but for real. But slowly starting to build these things. And so like speaking of like caches, so like talk a little bit about how you have like places in the house set up. You know, like
Okay. So I told her a long time ago, I said, you worry with the kids and the day-to-day functions, I worry with the security and safety. Like she doesn't have to worry about the income, stuff like that, and I'll worry about the income, security, safety. You worry about the day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
So I kind of determine like this is what we're going to do, this is the direction we're going to go, and I just tell her this is where this is, and we need to practice this, and we need to drill this. There's a certain room in the house that we have all of the ammo, most of the guns, and several magazines loaded up in case we have to go there. It's not a big room. It's not like a cellar or
we don't have a bomb shelter.
it's not a
yet.
walk-in safe or anything.
Tune in next week for how to build a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
But you knew if you were in that side of the house, you could go there and find some sort of something to help.
Because like bad guys aren't going to knock on your door like, hey, we're going to come in now. Prepare yourself. So like if you're in this room or if you're on this side of the house and you need to know like, okay, the closest thing to me is this. Here, go now.
Yeah. So what I've gathered is that if anything ever goes wrong, you are my safety people. But then if you're hungry and you need like preserves and jams and sourdoughs and milk and eggs, I'm here for that.
Yeah.
So
we can swap services.
yes, you guys be shooting as we're running this way, and I'm feeding your bread. This is how the relationship is gonna go.
Yeah.
So I feel like between the two of us, we're pretty
We're
good.
set.
I love it. It's just something that I found that I like gravitate to. It's awesome.
Well,
to
handy.
me, it's awesome.
Yeah. It's a handy hobby.
Yeah.
I would say it's definitely beneficial.
I love thinking about like the what if, like what if this were to happen, what if this were to happen. Like it makes me feel better because I have a plan.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think, and like you said, like everything is situational, and like you're going to be thinking about things from a certain aspect, but like most of our, I think like 75%, if not more, of our audience so far is women. I would say most of them are moms, and so it is nice to have like a little bit of different perspective there. So it's like Nick has given us like some resources that we'll add to the show notes of like where you can find things and like different things that he's talked about, but it's tough to find information that's geared towards women, and it's really tough to find supplies, especially like holsters for your guns that are, everything is made for a man because I don't know why, because there's just as many women that
triggers me.
but there are
Sexist.
women who do these things and who have guns and who do this, but it's like I guess they don't make the companies that make the products, but so
the demographic.
yeah. And so it was tough to find a holster because I wouldn't carry my gun on me because it wasn't comfortable and I couldn't like fit it to my body in a way that was like, if I'm uncomfortable, I'm just gonna be thinking about that and like mad the whole time and I'm not gonna do it. So finding a holster that fit, that was like for a woman, was hard.
My holster goes in my I'll carry appendix, which is right near my groin, and it clips on my belt.
I don't wear a belt.
How many times do women wear belts?
Yeah.
How many times do women even have like usable belt
With
loops?
yoga pants hold it up.
But for real though, like especially if you're like a mom, a busy mom at the park or whatever, like no. And so that was tough. But there are resources out there. Again, I'm gonna hit on the one account that I really like to follow is Miss Amber L, and she gives you those situations, and she has a lot of content and a lot of videos where it's like, and she'll do like, this is the outfit I'm wearing, and you can't tell that I have a gun, but here it is, and like this is how I conceal, and this is how I can like work my like outfit or like my day around this. These are the brands that I use. Like she has a lot of content that for women I think is especially important because that's just not out there, which is very frustrating.
Absolutely.
But and then you're going to be more likely to do it and to use it and to be into it if you can actually like see yourself realistically doing it. And she just has even if it's not like the gun aspect, but she has a lot of like situational awareness. Like I'm walking with my kids in the parking lot. This is what I'm going to do. And what I like and what we try to implement, which is we can't right now because Sage is too little, but like she includes her kids in on the conversation of like, okay, this is serious. Like this is like a key, like a code word for like, I don't feel comfortable in this situation. I need you to be quiet. I need you to listen. I need you to like eyes on me. I need your ears to be listening and like not, there's no questions right now. Like you're just listening to me because I'm in charge of this situation and I'm gonna make sure that you get out safely or whatever it might be. Like you're in Target and you're like, okay, this person has followed me down every single, like I don't need to be distracted by you wanting that toy. Like you need to know right now is a serious situation and I need you to just sit there. Yeah. You know, and so she includes her kids on these conversations and not to be like scary, but they also need to be aware, and then they can also feel comfortable that like, okay, mom's got this, like we're good, or like, and she has 3 children, so it's like you said, like I don't have a hand for all these kids, and if I need to access my weapon, I can't hold 3 hands with one hand and my gun in the other hand, like, or like what if I'm in the car, or she really breaks down a lot of those, which I think is nice because she's literally the only account that I found that talks about that stuff from a woman's perspective, a mom's perspective.
There's not many.
I don't follow
There's
it.
not many.
I'll send you her Instagram link. Well, it's going to be in the show notes. Everybody can follow her.
It's going to be so much more prepared.
She does a lot of stuff with fieldcraft survival.
Yep.
Mike Glover and all them. He's a former Green Beret, and he has a company that I think they're based out of Montana.
Utah, right?
I'm not sure. It's somewhere out west. But he's pretty smart. They're up on their stuff.
That's good to know.
And if I could give one piece of advice, I would say if you are seeking out training, number one, I would be hesitant about getting training from someone in your family.
Right.
Because someone in your family, you're going to be more lax. You're going to be you're not going to care as much. It's not going to be as
you're not going to view them as like a professional.
Yeah. If I were to tell you something, I mean, we have this conversation all the time. If I tell you something, you see it one way as if I were to tell you something.
Right.
And I would say find somebody that's outside of your family that you respect and that has some sort of credentials and that has some sort of that's reputable.
Yeah.
You know, don't go down here to the flea market and find somebody that has like the lowest cost.
Right. Because you're definitely going to get what you pay for, and you're more likely to listen to someone if you are paying for them, because you're paying for their expertise. So
you're financially invested.
Right.
So. Well, I think that was amazing. I personally learned a lot. I have some work to do. but I'm really excited that you were able to come on and share this stuff with me. I'm still blown away at just like a carabiner on your knuckles. Like anybody can do that. And I love that idea. I have those in my
or
house.
like a pen.
I can start today.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like a lot of times I carry around a suppressed rifle.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't have to be a $5,000 rifle.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it could literally be a $5 carabiner.
Mm-hmm.
Or a hot coffee.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
thinking about like I have a hot coffee in my hand. If somebody comes up to me, like I can mess your day up real quick with a hot coffee to the face. It doesn't.
Yeah.
We are not saying to throw hot coffee on everybody that you see and you don't like, but if they were to attack you,
If you
go
need
for
to.
it. You have
That
permission.
gives you an excuse to go get a coffee.
Ah, there you go.
That's your defense mechanism.
Yeah, I didn't have any self-defense in me
It's my
today, so I got
self-defense.
coffee.
Yeah.
And every time it cooled off, I got another coffee.
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty good. We could probably
Yeah.
use that. But yeah, I mean, that was amazing. I learned a lot. I hope that you guys learned a lot from this. Thank you for coming on, Nick, and spending time
Thank you
here,
for having me.
sharing your knowledge. That was pretty amazing. So we will link everything in the show notes. We'll even link Nick's account so you can follow him. He's always posting videos and sharing stories on this stuff. So tune in next week, you guys. Danielle and I are going to share our birth stories and a whole bunch of information surrounding birth. So we will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Good job. Good job.
Oh.